Good morning or afternoon or whenever you're listening to it. As long as it's not 2 in the morning, you really should be in bed. We're going to look at how you compare decimals and fractions here and use inequality symbols as well. Let's start with some simple things first of all. In our last video, we looked at decimals and their fraction equivalents. So let's start with something pretty simple we should all know. 1/100th is equal in value to 0.01. Bandabidozi. So they're equal, they're the same. What if I took 0.01 again, but I compared it to 2/100ths? Well, 2/100ths is more than 1/100th, which means that 2/100ths must be greater in value than 0.01. So what I need to do is show that my inequality symbol. So 2/100ths are greater than 0.01. I'm going to choose 2/100ths again. I'm going to keep 2/100ths, and this time I'm going to try and compare it to 0.10. Now some people will think, oh, it's the same as the last one. You are wrong. If you're not sure about this, what you would do is actually find a little bit of equivalence. 2/100ths, what's that the same as? That's 0.02, isn't it? Oh, 0.02 is less than 0.10 because it's got 0/10ths and that's got 1/10, which means that 0.10 is in fact greater than 2/100ths. Sometimes you'll come across a problem where you can use a little bit of common sense. One equivalent that you should know, and you'll have been taught in year 4, is that 1/2 is the same as 0.5. So therefore, I could give you a question like this, comparing 1/4 and 0.5. Just with the knowledge you know from years 2, 3, and 4, you should already be aware that 1/4 is less than a half, and 0.5 is a half. So in this particular problem, I don't actually need to know the decimal equivalent to 1/4 to get this correct. I just need to recognize that 0.5 is the same as a half, and a half is greater than a quarter. Okay, we've got some slightly trickier problems up here now. In these 3 circles, I'm going to put some inequality symbols. First thing I'm going to compare is 0.12 and 2/5. Okay, so 0.12. Well, that's the same as 12/100ths, isn't it? So I'm just going to put a little jotting on there to help me. That's the same as 12/100ths. 2/5. 2/5 is the same as 4/10ths, I do believe. And that's also the same as 40/100ths. 12/100ths, 40/100ths. Well, 40 is much larger than 12, isn't it? Which means that therefore 2/5 must be greater than 0.12. Success. Next one I'm going to compare, I'm going to go with 0.9. I know that. That's 9/10ths when I just say the number, don't I? And 18/20ths as my numerator and denominator. Well, I've already got my decimal here, 0.9. I might show the second decimal place just to be certain, so that'd be 90/100ths. Oh, it's 9/10ths, isn't it? That's 9/10ths. Could I find an equivalent tenths to this? Yes, I could. 20 divided by 2 is 10, 18 divided by 2 is 9. Oh, these are both 9/10ths. They have an equal value. So I place my equal sign for the inequalities there. And my final example here, I'm going to take 3/4 and I'm going to compare it with the value of 0.66. So once again, I'm starting to think, what values do I know? How can I actually help myself here? Well, that's 66/100ths. Pretty sure it's also 2/3 as well. Can I turn 3/4 into hundredths? I think I could, How many times was 4 going to 100? 25, so times it by 25. And 3 times 25 is 75. Oh, 75 is bigger than 66. 3/4 are larger than 0.66. And that's one way of comparing fractions and decimals. I hope this helps you in your work.